Okay. Then let's move on to today's section. Okay. Today we are going to learn about general journal. Today we are going to learn about general journal. So during the last weeks, we learned about the purchase journal and the sales journal. Purchase journal and sales journal, there is one thing special about it. What is it? Can anyone suggest? What is special about sort of like sales journal and purchase journal? මොකක්ද ඒකේ තියෙන වෙනස? Like something special about it? Those two journals are specialized journal. You can record only sales transactions in credit sales transaction in sales journal, and you can only record credit purchases on purchase journal. Okay. So in general journal, it's not a sort of like specialized journal like sales journal or purchase journal. General journal. In the earlier sections, we learned about the purchase journal and sales journal. And they are used to record only one type of transactions. As I said, if it is sales journal, you record sales, credit sales. If it is a purchase journal, you record purchase, credit purchases. Okay. So because of that, they are known as specialized journals. Okay. For example, sales journal is used to record only credit sales of trade goods. Okay. Is it clear? No, nothing much to sort of like be panic about to think. Okay. Then there may be some other transactions other than the transactions recorded in these journals. Are specialized journals will record now current transactions වලට අමතර transactions එන්න පුළුවන්. Okay. හැබැයි ඒ transactions උත් record කරන්න ඕනේ අරවයි දාන්නත් බෑ. අර අපි කතා කරපු sales journal purchases journal ඒ වගේ ඒවායි දාන්නත් බෑ. එතකොට මොනවාද මේ transactions? What are the examples for these transactions? For example, let's say you are purchasing a machine on credit basis to be used in the business. You are purchasing a machine on credit basis to be used in the business. Or let's say you are purchasing a land on credit basis to expand the business activities. Or let's say owners use goods for their businesses for businesses in the owners use goods in the business for their own purpose. So if something like this happens, you have to record it in the general journal. Okay, now the important thing is let's take something like this. Okay, purchase of a machine on credit basis to be used in the business. Okay, when it is a purchase, okay, now this is a credit purchase. Okay, now if you are given if you are given a transaction like this, okay, this says purchase of a machine on a credit basis to be used in the business. Okay, so if it is a purchases, you can record it in the purchases journal, or else now as per this scenario you can use it general journal. How do you sort of like separate these two things? මේක දාන්න ඕනේ මෙන්න මේ journal එකට කියලා හරියටම identify කරගන්න පොඩි කැලල මොකද්ද මේ transaction එකේ. I will stop the recording and like sort of like ask the question. Okay. Okay, so as we discussed now, in a transaction like this, what matters is now we say now purchase of machine on a credit basis to be used in the business. Then we used in the business කියන term එක ආවම අපි දැනගන්නවා මේක purchase journal එකට යන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. ඇයි මේක resell කරන්න ගත්ත product එකක් නෙමෙයි. Okay, so those things are the important thing when you are seeing a transaction. So it is mentioned, okay, you're buying it on credit basis, but not for the purpose of reselling, for the purpose of using it in the business. Then you're putting it to general journal, not purchases journal. By any chance, now let's say transactions come like purchase of a machine on credit basis for the purpose of reselling. Then you are recording it in purchases journal, not general journal. Okay. So these are the kind of transactions we record in general journal. Purchase of machine on credit basis to be used in the business. Purchase of land on credit basis to expand the business activities. And let's say if a owner is withdrawing their money. Okay, if there are drawings. And these transactions, as I said, they have to be recorded in a separate prime entry book. And the prime entry book that is used to record transactions like that are called general journal. Accordingly, transactions that are not recorded in other prime entry books are recorded first in general journal. The source document used to recording these transactions in the general journal is called or are called journal vouchers. Journal voucher කියන එක තමයි general journal එකේ source document එක. අපි කලිනුත් primary books වල වෙනම මේක ටික ඉගෙන ගත්තා. ඒ වගේම මෙතනදිත් අපිට ඒක හරි වැදගත්. හැම journal එකක්ම ගියාම ඒකට ගන්න source document එක මොකක්ද? purchase journal එක නම් purchase invoice එක. sales journal එක නම් sales invoice එක. දැන් general journal එකට ආවම journal voucher එක තමයි ඒක use කරන source document එක. Okay. Then let's see how to prepare the general journal. අපිට දීලා තියෙන sample format එකක්. First you put the date, then you put the voucher, then you put the description, ledger page. And here now earlier we had the amount, but here it's they have sort of like segregated it, debit column and credit column. And we have to record the transaction, how much is debited and how much credited. Why they given both debit column and credit column? Because this is a general journal. The specialized journal එකක නම් අපිට එන්නේ නිකන් single of direction එකකට එන්නේ. දැන් general journal එක අපිට එහෙම ගන්න බෑ. General journal එක අපිට එන්න පුළුවන් අපිට එන්නේ විවිධ transaction. It's not a specialized transaction. So for that we have to keep a provision. For that we have recorded or else we have allocated both debit column and credit column. Okay. Then for every transaction recorded in the general journal, a brief description known as narration is written. දැන් අපි කලින් ඒවයිදී let's say අපි හිතමු purchase journal එක කියලා. purchase journal එකේදී අපි මොකද කරේ? අපි කෙලින්ම නම දැම්මා. අපි හිතමු sales journal එක. අපි කෙලින්ම නම දැම්මා. මෙච්චරයිනේ කරේ. නම දැම්මා, invoice number එක දැම්මා, value එක දැම්මා. අපි ආයිත් මේකේ මොනවද කතා ඒවා මුකුත් ලියන්න ගියේ නැහැ. But here, when it comes to general journal, for every transaction recorded in the general journal, a brief description known as narration is written. Narration එක ලියන්න ඕනේ. Purchase of an equipment on credit for the business for use of 10,000 from Silva and Company Private Limited on February 28, for example, if that is the case. Then we recorded equipment account එක අපි මේක buy කරලා තියෙන purchase of equipment නේ මගේ asset එක වැඩි වෙන නිසා 10,000 කියලා දැම්මා Silva Company Limited එකෙන් ණයට ගත්තේ යාමගේ liability එකක් ඒ නිසා 10,000 දැම්මා and I give a brief description recording of equipment bought from Silva and Company Limited on credit basis at a cost of 10,000. So I write that brief description. Okay. Now in our syllabus, now there are different transactions recorded here. So we will be among these transaction, correction of accounting errors and adjustment entries are discussed in our level. Okay. So did you understand general journal? Did you understand it? Are there any questions? So let's go to the note. So before that, I will pause the session and ask you a few questions. Okay. Okay. Let's write down the note from the general journal. So I will read out this section firstly, and then you can take a couple of minutes and write it. Okay. The purchase journal and sales journal are specialized journals used to record specific type of business transactions. For example, sales journal is used exclusively for recording credit sales of trade goods. However, some transactions do not fit into these journals, such as the purchase of a machine or land on credit, or when the owner used business goods for the personal use. These transactions are instead recorded in a separate prime entry book called the General Journal. General Journal captures transactions that are not recorded in other specialized journals, and the source document for these entries is the journal voucher. Okay, you can take a couple of minutes and start writing this. If you have completed writing this section, you can move on to next slide and start writing this. So a general journal can be prepared as follows, and we have given the format. So quickly, like sort of note down this format. Take about 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, since we have finished this slide, let's move on to next slide. Okay. For every transaction recorded in the general journal, a brief description known as narration is written. Now, this thing we discussed earlier also. Purchase of an equipment on credit for the business use for rupees 10,000 from Silva and Company Private Limited on 28th February. Then we record it, and here we write the narration. The recording of equipment bought from Silva and Company Limited on credit at a cost of 10,000. This recording part is not necessary. Equipment bought from Silva and Company Limited on credit at a cost of 10,000. Okay. And then you need not to write, but just write. So you can take 1 to 2 minutes. Take 2 minutes. By 7:10, please complete this. So we can move on to the next section. That is instant cash transactions through electronic methods of technology.